Hi, I'm Eric Summerer, and here's what's coming from the Dice Tower this week.
Hey, this is Tom Vassell. Welcome to the Dice Tower News for April 16th to the 22nd, 2012. Sorry we missed last week. A lot of busyness going on, but there's some great stuff this week. Let's start out with news from the board game world. First of all, Zenescape has announced a new card game coming out, Wonderland, based on their graphic series. Fantasy Flight Games has announced a new game, Ugg-Tect, which looks like it's basically a reprint of Arg-Tect. I guess Arg needs to be changed to Ugg. Lord of the Rings, they also announced, is coming out with their card game, The Hobbit expansion. It's about time, huh? Rio Grande has announced a new expansion for Race for the Galaxy, Alien Artifacts. What's interesting about this expansion is it's not compatible with the previous ones. What do you know? And Fantasy Flight Games has posted a preview of Descent 2nd Edition. That looks interesting. You'll certainly want to check that out. The big news is that the Dice Tower Gaming Award nominations have been announced, or are being announced right now. A bunch of podcasters, 30 to 40 of us, got together, and we vote on these and talk about these. And so here are the nominations in the different categories. First of all, we have the best family games, and these are all, by the way, games from the year 2011. For Best Family Game, we have Flashpoint Fire Rescue from Indie Boards and Card Games. We have Kingdom Builder, designed by Donald Vaccarino. We have King of Tokyo from Richard Garfield. Quarriors from WizKids. And Say Anything Family Edition from North Star Games. Then we have the best game from a new designer. This is a designer this is their first or second game. And the 5 nominees for this are Blood Bowl Team Manager, the card game by Jason Little. Flashpoint Fire Rescue, designed by Kevin Lansing. The Ares Project, designed by Brian and Jeff Engelstein. Sentinels of the Multiverse by Christopher Bedell and Paul Bender. And Nightfall, designed by David Gregg. It's always good to see new games or old games reprinted again. And so we have our best game reprint nominees. And we have Can't Stop, reprinted by Griffin Games. Confusion, Espionage, and Deception in the Cold War, done by Stronghold Games. Evo, reprinted by Asmodee. Game of Thrones, the board game, 2nd edition, by Fantasy Flight Games. And Puerto Rico, the Deluxe Anniversary Edition, by Rio Grande Games. Then we love those beautiful games with all kinds of cool components. And we have the Best Production nominees, Dungeons & Dragons, The Legend of Drizzt, board game, and Dungeons & Dragons, Wrath of Ashardlan, board game, both of those from Wizards of the Coast. Mansions of Madness, from Fantasy Flight Games. Risk Legacy, from Hasbro. And Super Dungeon Explorer, from Soda Pop Miniatures. And we always want to encourage small publishers, so the small publisher nominees are for publishers that have 5 or less published games. And the nominees for this category are Flashpoint Fire Rescue from Indie Board and Card Games, Dungeon Run from Plaid Hat Games, Rallyman from, Rallyman Incorporated, Sentinels of the Multiverse from Greater Than Games, and Bears from Fireside Games. Then we have party/word games, and these are games, of course, that you would want to play at a party. And we have, for the nominees here, Crappy Birthday from North Star Games, Dixit Odyssey from Asmodee, Reverse Charades Junior Edition, published by Griffin Games, Vocabulary from Out of the Box Publishing, and Train of Thought from Tasty Minstrel Games. Games are lots of fun, but we love expansions to them, so we have our nominees for the best board game expansions. And the things here are Ticket to Ride Asia and Legendary Asia, Map Volume 1 from Days of Wonder, Thunderstone Dragonspire from AEG, Small World Underground from Days of Wonder, Seven Wonders Leaders from Asmodee, and Summoner Wars The Master Set from Plaid Hat Games. We always want to see new and unusual games from companies, so we have the most innovative game nominees. We have the Ares Project by Brian and Jeff Engelstein, Ascending Empires from Ian Cooper, Paperclip Railways from Tony Boydell, Quarriors from Mike Elliott and Eric Lang, and Risk Legacy from Rob Daviau and Chris Dupuy. Then we have artwork, beautiful pictures and games, and the nominees for this are Dixit Odyssey from Asmodee, The Lord of the Rings card game from Fantasy Flight Games, Mansions of Madness, also from Fantasy Flight Games. Flashpoint Fire Rescue from Indie Boards and Card Game. And a Game of Thrones, the board game 2nd edition from Fantasy Flight Games. Then War Games. The nominees here are Sekigahara, Unification of Japan from GMT Games. Band of Brothers from Worthington Games. A Few Acres of Snow from Tree Frog Games. Julius Caesar from Columbia Games. And the Sergeant's Miniatures Games from Lost Battalion Games. A new category that we're adding this year because we like games that have a lot of theme, or a new and unusual theme, is our Best Game Theme nominees. And in this category, we have Dungeon Pets from Z-Man Games, Flashpoint Fire Rescue from Indie Boards and Card Game, Last Will from Rio Grande Games, Yggdrasil from Z-Man Games, and Takinoko from Asmodee. And since we have a lot of games that are being put onto the iPad, iPhone, Android computer, we have our Best Digital Board Game nominees. And these are Ascension, Chronicles of the Godslayer from Playdeck, Ticket to Ride for the iOS from Days of Wonder, Forbidden Island, also for the iOS from Button Mash Games, Ghost Stories, again for the iOS from Repos Productions, and another one for the iOS from Fantasy Flight Games, Elder Sign. And finally, our Game of the Year category. And there were so many great games that we expanded this to a slate of 10 games. And the nominees for the Game of the Year are Eclipse from Asmodee, The Lord of the Rings card game from Fantasy Flight Games, Quarriors from WizKids, Risk Legacy, produced by Hasbro, Star Trek Fleet Captains from WizKids, King of Tokyo from Ialo, The Castles of Burgundy from Ravensburger, Mage Knight the board game from WizKids, A Few Acres of Snow from Tree Frog Games, and the Ares Project from Z-Man Games. Congratulations to all the nominees. We will be taking the next couple months to be playing these and evaluating all the nominees, and we will be announcing the winners the first week of July 2012. All right, to the Dice Tower. We have some new videos coming out. I will be doing this week a review of 1812, The Invasion of Canada. Also a review of the very oddly named and played Dr. Shark. Miami Dice will be taking a look at the republished Merchants and also the older game Vegas Showdown. Melody and I will be taking a look at Mirror Mirror, and I'll be reviewing the expansion for Radis Africanus, and the small little game Squish Blocks. Ryan is going to be reviewing Wide Airp. Also, Who's Got Game? He'll be doing a preview of Colossal Cave, and then he'll be reviewing both Village and Homesteaders. And the Hoyers will be reviewing Sergeant Miniatures and the iOS version of Food Fight. In podcasts, Ludology number 30 has just come out, in which they do a listener spectacular, answer a lot of questions from everybody. Some good answers here. How to Play number 36 has been released, where Ryan talks about how to play Settlers of Catan. On Board Games number 79 is come out, where they interview Sherry Bryant, who helped produce Will Wheaton's new video show about board games, with special co-host Eric Summerer. I know him from somewhere. Plaid Hat number 42 has been released, in which Colby is gone and Mr. Bistro takes over the show. Not Just Another Gaming Podcast number 17 is coming out this week, in which they review a few great games like Rex and Eclipse, and then some game called Capo. They interview Lorian Green, and they talk about gaming disasters. And Dice Tower number 252 is coming out this week, in which we talk about all sorts of things, answer a ton of user questions, and then we go to our top 10 dice games. Woo! This has been a long news segment, so I better get going here, but you can find out all this information at Dice Tower, or Dice Tower News, or DicetowerNetwork.com. I'll see you guys soon. Tom Vassell out.
Find all this and more at Dicetower.com. See you soon.